going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley, and in this video I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about selling covered calls. I'm also going to give you a full example in the second half of this video, so if you get any value out of it, remember to click that like and subscribe button, and let's jump right in. Okay, so selling covered calls. Covered calls basically allow you to make money while holding shares. The fact that it says covered here basically means that you are currently holding the shares. That's what covered means. And calls are a type of options. Now, if you're not familiar with what options are, I'll put a link down below to one of my other videos that fully explains it. But basically, options allow somebody to buy or sell a specific security on a specific day at a specific price. And so if you buy the ability to buy Apple at $200 on March 3rd and the price goes to $400, you can buy it at $200 and make all of that profit in between there. That's what an option is. And when you sell covered calls, you're basically on the other side of that transaction. So you're selling a contract that says you will give up 100 shares at this price on this day if the price of Apple, for instance, gets here. And so that's the idea behind covered calls. And what's really nice about it is, like I said, they allow you to make money while you hold shares. Now, the benefits of covered calls here is, number one, generally they're lower risk compared to a lot of other option strategies. So you hear about these guys that are making 2 and 3 and 400% on their option strategies. It's not going to happen with covered calls. You're basically making a little bit of money and you're kind of trying to get paid just for holding shares that you were already going to hold in the first place. Now, what's really nice about them is you have the ability to consistently earn profit on the shares that you own. And if the price of the shares go down, you can reduce your loss when the price falls. It's basically a way to hedge your position here. So if you're worried about the price going down, but you still want to hold it, you could sell some covered calls. And that way, if the price does go down, you won't be hurt quite as bad because those covered calls will make some money. Now, we're going to talk about that scenario in 1 second. But first of all, let's talk about when should you use covered calls. And there's 3 main criteria that you want to think about when you're considering selling covered calls. Number 1 is you already own the shares in a company that you like and you hold those shares for independent reasons, meaning that you should never buy shares to sell covered calls. Like, that just doesn't make sense. You're putting one thing in front of the other and it shouldn't be like that. And so you never want to buy shares just to sell covered calls. You only want to buy shares in companies that you believe in and that you think will go up over time. So you need to already own the shares. You also need to be comfortable taking profit if the price goes up. When you sell covered calls, you're basically going to set a take profit level, and if the price hits that level on a specific day, you're going to have to sell those shares. So you have to be comfortable with that. And if you want some protection against downside risk, so if you're concerned that the price is going to go down at all and you want to kind of hedge that bet, well, this could be a great way of limiting your losses or reducing your losses in that situation. Now, how do selling covered calls work? Well, let's walk through it step by step so that it's really easy to understand. So first of all, you buy 100 shares of Apple at $250. Now, I'm going to use some nice round numbers here just so it's a little bit easier to explain. But let's say you go out and you buy 100 shares of Apple because you really like Apple as a company and you paid $250 for those shares. The first thing that you need to do in order to sell call options is you need to kind of set up all the settings. And so for you, you're going to sell one call option contract. Now remember, one contract represents 100 shares. You bought 100 shares, so you can only sell one contract. You need to have those shares in your account. That's why it's called a covered call. And if you're selling a covered call, you need to have those shares in order to sell. So you can only sell covered calls for the number of shares that you currently own. If you own 100 shares, you can sell one call contract. Now, for selling that, we're actually going to receive $5 per share. We own 100 shares, and so we're going to receive $500. Now, with that contract, we have to set a strike price, and for us, that strike price is going to be $300, and this contract is going to expire in 1 month. And so, basically what this is saying is that we are going to receive $500 for that contract, and if the price of Apple gets above $300 in 1 month, we are going to be obligated to sell our 100 shares at $300. So if the price goes to $400 or $500, we might lose out on some of that profit, but we're guaranteed going to get that $250 to $300 profit, and we're also going to keep that $500. And so just for selling this contract, we are going to collect $500. So now in your portfolio, you own 100 shares of Apple. You have sold one covered call option contract for those shares with a strike price of 300 that expires in 1 month. So that's going to be a security literally in your portfolio, and you've also collected a credit of $500. Now, here is scenario number one. We're going to go through all the different scenarios so that you can understand exactly what's going to happen. Let's say that the price stays exactly at $250. Maybe it fluctuates a little bit, but after 1 month, it's right at $250. Well, that's going to be a good scenario for you because it didn't get to 300, which means you didn't have to sell your shares, and you get to keep that $500. And so that $500 is yours. You still own all of your shares, and now you just got paid literally $500 just for holding those shares. So this is a really nice scenario. This worked out really good for us. And even though we didn't make any money on the shares appreciating, we got paid $500 just for holding them for a month. Now, here is scenario number two. Let's say that the price gets to $325 in 1 month's time. Well, unfortunately, that is above our strike price, and so we have to sell 100 shares of Apple at a price of $300, which means the person on the other side of this deal just made $25 per share, and we made the $5 per share right here. Now, granted, we did make $50 per share when we sold our shares because we bought at $250 and we sold at $300, but we could have made a little bit more if we had just sold at $325 and didn't sell that covered call option. However, you never know if the price is going to go up, never know if the price is going to go down. And so in this case, we were able to walk away with $500. We were able to make the $50 in profit per share between the $250 and the $300 that we sold it at. But we did miss out on a little bit of the extra profit there on the way up to $325. And so that is scenario number two. If the price goes skyrocketing way past your strike price, you're going to lose out on a little bit of profit, and it probably would have been better to just not sell the covered call and just hold the shares. And so that would have been your downside there. But regardless, you still got to keep the $500 premium, and you still got to sell your shares at a profit of $300. So you don't owe anybody money, you didn't lose anybody money, and overall, this is still a pretty good situation for you. Now, in scenario three, let's say that the price actually declines. This is going to be not such a great scenario for us because in this scenario, we still get to keep the $500. We sold something, and so we get to keep that money. However, on the shares that we hold in our portfolio, the 100 shares of Apple, they have actually gone down by $10 per share. And so, unfortunately, we lost $1,000 from holding the shares. However, we did profit $500 from selling the covered calls. And so we lost $1,000 on the shares, but the covered calls expired worthless, which means we didn't have to sell our 100 shares and we got to keep the $500 premium. And so 1,000 minus 500 leaves us with a $500 loss. And as you can see right there, our net result of scenario number three is a $500 loss. And so if the price of the shares goes down and you sell covered calls, luckily you don't lose quite as much money. If the price stays level, you don't lose any money on their shares and you get to keep the entire premium. And if the price goes up to $325 or it skyrockets, you get to keep the entire premium, but you have to sell all of your shares, hopefully at a profit, depending on where you purchased it at. Now, let's move on here to an example. For this example, I am going to use the platform called Questrade. It's available here in Canada, and there's $50 in free commissions if you sign up with the link down below. So if you're looking for a day trading or investing platform, this is what I personally use every single day here living in Canada. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to walk you through an example right now. Also, if you want to learn more about the stock market or cryptocurrency or options, I have a course that is completely free. I have a course on each of those options, completely free. It is linked in the description down below and it's hosted on Skillshare. But let's get into this example right now. Okay, so I'm going to do this demo in a practice account just because I don't want to buy and sell 100 shares of Apple real quick right now. But let's do this. So first of all, we're looking at Apple stock right here on the Questrade chart. You can see we've got a little bit of support right here around 155, 156. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to buy 100 shares of Apple. So we'll go in with a limit price. We'll get a snap quote here and we are going to buy in at the ask. We're going to click on buy and there you can see the order has just executed. And now we own 100 shares of Apple in our portfolio. It cost us $15,000. So now that we own shares of Apple, now we can sell some covered calls for it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch from the stock to the options window. As you can see, the order window here changed on us as well, which is really nice. And now we need to set in the expiry date. So for me right now, it is March 11th. I'm gonna set the expiry for let's go with the 14th of April. That will be the main monthly expiry. For us right now, Apple stock, let's just go back to this, is trading at $156. So for us, we want to sell covered calls with a little bit of room. So I'm going to move this up to 165. So that's going to be the strike price. It's going to be at $165. So as you can see here, if the price gets above 165 before April 14th here, I will be obligated to sell my shares. If it stays below 165, we will be able to collect the premium. And as of right now, this premium is currently sitting at what looks like $2.94. We just had a trade go through. So that's what we are going to be able to collect here per share as long as the price stays below 165. So let's go in and let's place this order right now. So as you can see, we're going to set the quantity to 1. We are going to place a limit order just so we have more control over this. We're going to get a snap quote here just so we can see what the bid and the ask are. The bid is $292 right now, and remember, we're going to be selling this. So in order for us to get this executed right now, we need to sell at the bid. So we're going to set that to $292. We're going to leave the duration to the day because I want this to execute right away. And like I said, we're in a demo account. So now we are all set up here to sell one covered call of Apple at a limit price of $2.92 with an expiry of April 14th, 2022 at a price of $165. And this is a call option that we are going to sell. So click on the sell button. As you can see, it executed right away right there. And now we hold both these positions. And because I sold it, it comes up as -1 here in my account summary. And so now we have the entire trade kind of executed in our portfolio. If Apple goes up in price but stays below 165, we'll be able to collect our entire premium right here of about $300. But if Apple goes above 165, we'll be obligated to take profit on our Apple shares. We'll make some money that way. But if it gets to like $300, we would have been better off to just hold the shares. So that is the trade-off here with covered calls, is that if the stock absolutely skyrockets, you would have been better off just holding the shares. But if that doesn't happen, selling covered calls can either help you make money while the stock trades sideways, or it can help reduce the pain and reduce your loss if the price of the shares starts to trade lower. And so now if you want to exit this position, like let's say you get a month or two in this and you're just like, hey, I really disagree with this position now, I want to get out of it, I think I was wrong. Well, because you sold it, you now need to buy it in order to close that position. And so we still have all of our same stuff up here. And in order for us to buy to close this position, we need to go in at the ask. So I'm going to change the limit order to 293. I'm going to execute it as a buy. And as you can see there, it did not fill at 293. So let's see if we can edit this a little bit. I'm going to move this up here and let's change this to 295 and see if we can get this to fill. Still not filling at 295. Okay, we're just going to change this to a market order so that we can get out of this position and you can see what it looks like. So boom, there we go. Market order filled at 165 and we're good to go. So now we have closed that covered call position. We still own the shares here. And if you want to get out of the shares, it's really, really simple. You just click the sell button on Questrade and now we have closed the entire position. So that is how you enter and exit a covered call position using Apple shares on Questrade IQ Edge. Now, if you got any value out of this video, please remember to click that like and subscribe button. I sincerely appreciate it. And if you're interested in learning more about options or learning more about the stock market, I have courses down below that are hosted on Skillshare. They're completely free. When you sign up with that link, you'll get free access to the entire platform for either 2 weeks or 1 month, depending on where you live. And you can take my entire course and then cancel your subscription before the trial runs out. You won't be charged a single penny. You will get everything for free. I promise you, it is well worth the hassle. It's well worth your time, and it'll be well worth your effort. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Good luck trading, good luck investing, and we'll talk to you soon.